What's good, y'all, and welcome to another vid. Ashes to Ashes, second boss, Wings of Woe. How can you hit 250 million? That is what this video is all about. So I'll be showing you which units to use, how to place them, how to time your ults, and the like. So let's get straight into it. And this fight is by far the simplest fight of the year, right? Like, this might just very well be the simplest boss fight ever released. So I'll be showing you all you need to know. So first off, if you check out the boss has higher defense than it has magic resistance, which is the same for like all his hits. So overall, what you want to do first is you go into your characters, you go onto the single target magic attack category, and those are your prime breadwinners, okay? So units that you want to use include Vaughn, Numera, Nastia. This like triple poison combo is absolutely disgusting for this boss. Then you also have Hex, you have Nocturne. You could try to be using Alistair, but he kind of falls flat because, as dumb as it sounds, this boss is a DPS race at its finest. You could also try Seraphina, you could try Lyra. Lord Phineas can do wonders. And then you can also run a Soulcadence plus a Zillitu. You could try a Glacius. You can run an you can run a Anai. So those are like single target magic, right? You want to go for single target magic. And then if you don't have any single target magic left anymore, you would want to go with single target physical. And then you have units like Valdron, like Wukong. Keep in mind they need to be 2 range, so Twilight doesn't meet the requirements. You can run a Setram, you can run a Lucius, you can try Kigiri, though pairing with the Kigiri becomes annoying super fast. You could be running a Lust, and yeah. Overall, let's actually have a look at how many units of what do you actually need where. Alright, so this is the boss layout. Overall, for most of the fight, you're going to have 4 platform tiles and 3 ground tiles. So 4 platform tiles, 3 ground tiles, and you have 2 missions. Number 1, hit the boss. Number 2, stop these units from going into your core. So your base stat is going to be using an Eloin right here to heal a mage like Boreas, like Ingrid, like whoever you have, to just have them down here and make sure that they don't let anybody pass, right? So Eloin here, unit here, leaves you with 6 units. Then on this spot right here, you want 1 of 2 units preferably, and that is either a Beelzebub or a Diao Chan. Both work just as well, so either Beelzebub or Diao Chan you want right there, because the boss applies attack down. Applies attack down up to 60%, so you want to counteract that with an inspiration hero. And then this spot right here should be reserved for Aelin, Fercy, or Nerissa. Aelin, Fercy, or Nerissa are just the ones that make your life the easiest. So Aelin, Fercy, or Nerissa right here, which leaves you overall with 3 ground tiles, 2 platform tiles, and most of the time you're gonna then, for example, you want to place marksmen or mages here, and you also want to face them sideways. The reason why you want to face them sideways, or better said in this direction, is because the first phase can be hit here, the second phase can be hit here, and the third phase can be here at the top, or can be hit at the top, which means if you face your units from here over there, they're going to be able to hit all the time. So then what the boss does is he does very funny stuff where he kills one lane, kills the second lane, kills one lane, kills another lane, and then the moment he kills this lane right here, that is when you can place another ground unit down over here, because that unit will be free, this lane will be blocked. So overall you want to bring 2 range damage dealers, 3 ground damage dealers, a Eloin, a Nerissa, Fercy, whatever, and an inspiration hero. That's all you want to bring. And then just to show you something interesting, this boss really is a DPS race. I've tried. Like, this is a screenshot of the boss actually killing every single lane. Like, this is Black Storm on every single lane, so there isn't even a way for you to get around this. Alright, so before we get into the fight itself, let's talk about gearing. Gearing is super simple. Get as much attack as possible, because the higher your attack, the less you'll be impacted by the reduced attack from the boss. So the higher attack you go, the more damage you'll be able to deal. And then overall, let's just run a fight. It is super simple, but unfortunately also super limiting. There is not much you can do, but the way this works is you see these units and you're like, do I need to deal with them? No, you don't. If you destroy the tail, these units also disappear, which means challenge 1 is placing down enough units, placing down enough damage to be dealing with this mechanic, with this dragon, before these units start moving. So we're kind of already here building our formation. You can see us, we have our Nastia here, we have our Beelzebub here. There's multiple ways you could be doing this. You could be running in Hex, you could be running a Silas. You just need some burst damage before these guys start moving, and then once you get that burst damage, you see we destroy the face. We'll destroy them, boom, face swap, you see enemies disappear, enemies gone, then it swaps to the hand. The reason why we placed Wukong the way we did is so that we can have here multiple hits, and then also you want to bring down a healer, right? You can place on a healer a little bit earlier, a little bit later, depends on your cost management, but make sure you place the healer in time to stop all your units from dying. And then right here, we can already start bringing down Eloin, so we get more rage means more ultimate means more damage. And then you see again another phase transition. Now this is the final phase. This is where everything happens. We can bring in Voldon as another damage dealer, start using our ults, get our inspiration going. And then the only thing we need to do is just place down a mage, right? We're just placing down a mage in the range of Eloin. You could also be running a single target unit. It does not make a difference. The only thing they need to do is stop these enemies from running into your core, while the only thing you do is spam as many DPS ultimates as possible. Like that is all there is to know about this fight. Also, you really want to be, you could say to a degree, spamming your ults, because when he does the Flame of Torment, or better said, when he does one of his moves, he like completely removes your rage. So you never really want to be sitting on any ultimates, because there's always the case for him to just completely set your ults back to 0 rage, which would effectively be you wasting damage. So you see right there how we got all our rage reset to 0%, right? And then everything needs to build back up, which is the reason why you want to just get your ults out so you don't end up in a situation like that. You can see we're already on 220 million. It heavily depends on what kind of heroes you have, but bring as much magic single target as you can. And then if you're running out of magic single target damage units, then you're just gonna be bringing more physical single target damage. You see how we're already at 290, now we're getting closer, or we should be getting closer to the very first Black Storm, or you've seen how there's already a Black Storm, right? 2 lanes are already unusable. So yeah, we're playing the fight, and then another wave becomes unusable, and you see how like one of our platform units is now unusable. We can now bring in the third ground unit we talked about. So as you can see, we now have 1 platform damage dealer in Nastia. We have 3 ground damage dealers in Wukong and Numera, and then we also obviously have our big boy Volderon, just because, right? We have him just because we can. And then overall, that, as I said, it is by far the simplest boss released this year, you could say, right? Cram as much single target DPS into this fight as you can. These minions barely have any health. Yeah, I don't know. Beelzebub is a good help at like stopping them from like running too early. You see how we could have, for example, used another ultimate right there, but you see every tile is now gone, right? We're down to Numera plus Beelzebub plus Nastia. You see how at the bottom lane our units are just continuously taking damage. So the only thing we can do is continue hitting the boss, as well as also right here we have a Talon. Talon has a artifact which allows her to regenerate health when she deals damage, right? So she'll at least be able to survive a little bit longer, but it doesn't really make a difference, right? Like, you need to bring a unit that has safe heal, otherwise they just die down there. You see how we're getting like more damage taken regardless, right? And then that's the fight. And you know, as I've shown you before, in like 10 to 20 seconds the boss would have wiped the map anyway, so it does not make a difference what you bring. The only thing you want to do is deal as much damage as possible. And yeah, as you can see, we have Numera, Nastia, the poison comp, and then we have Warren and Wukong not really doing much because he also wasn't on the field very long. But yeah, that's the fight. Bring the poison comp, bring as much magic single target as possible, and Enjoy. Peace.